The Perth Mint has been exonerated. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee and let's have a look at a few things about the Perth Mint. They have been exonerated by the London Bullion Market Association. Now, recently I did two videos. One was looking, this is back in July, was two of the world's biggest banks that had blacklisted the Perth Mint. They were critical of some of their, overshore procurement policies. And the banks, of course, had stellar reputations. JP Morgan's, how could you ever worry about them? So really criminal banks were going the Perth Mint. Now, the London Bullion Market Association has released an update on this incident. Let's have a look through this. So the Perth Mint Incident Review Process Update. As the global authority for precious metals, LBMA maintains the highest standard for responsible sourcing. It therefore takes very seriously the recent allegations relating to the Perth Mint, which have resulted in the LBMA invoking its Incident Review Process, the IRP. As an iterative process, the IRP has involved extensive discussions with the refiner, auditor, and market participants, including the LBMA Physical Committee. Following the conclusion of this IRP, the Perth Mint remains a good deliverer listed refiner. The LBMA did not find any instances of zero tolerance non-conformance. There are elements of the Perth Mint's risk assessment which need to be strengthened through a corrective action plan, CAP, to be audited by a third-party auditor. Their previous auditor is no longer approved, and the Perth Mint will be required to use a new approved service provider to carry out the audit. This CAP will address the weaknesses in the application of the Perth Mint's management systems. For example, the Papua New Guinea-based counterparty was identified as medium risk rather than high risk. So there you go. LBMA reserves the right to revisit this conclusion if new information related to the Perth Mint becomes available. So there you have it. They've got strategies and plans in place, and the high risk of the Papua New Guinea counterparty, they've only been deemed a medium risk. And notice how some people were making the claims that the bank and other parties were attempting to smear the reputation of the Perth Mint, reduce their ability to purchase from certain PNG suppliers so other parties could get access to that gold. And the claims that, child labour, children working. How many family businesses here in Australia and all over the world would encounter the same thing? Children should work as part of the family business that's usually contributing. How many of them should contribute at home anyway? Maybe they don't. Maybe that's why we've got so many spoiled brats running around. So let's have a look at the ABC News article about this. Perth Mint probe finds no serious misconduct in the overseas gold scandal. An investigation into the purchasing practices of the Perth Mint has not found any examples of serious misconduct by the state government-owned metal refiner. The Perth Mint, which refines more than 90% of the gold mined in Australia and Asia, welcomed the findings by the London Bullion Market Association. The findings followed newspaper reports in June that claimed the Perth Mint had been spending up to $200 million a year on conflict gold from convicted killer in Papua New Guinea. Now, that's I've heard another side of that story with regards to what happened there in Papua New Guinea, and I'm trying to find more information about it. But, it seems like it was involuntary manslaughter, and there was some extenuating circumstances surrounding it. Some people claim the case would have been thrown out here in Australia. The Australian Financial Review reported the dealings with PNG firm Golden Valley, owned by Justin Parker, who was convicted of manslaughter in 2017, breached the Mint's global accreditation and internal policies. The London Bullion Market Association said it took the allegations very seriously, but its investigation found no instances of zero-tolerance non-conformance. The association said the Mint's risk assessment processes needed to be strengthened, and it reserved the right to revisit its findings or revisit its findings if new information came to light. There are elements of the Perth Mint's risk assessment which need to be strengthened and through a corrective action plan to be audited by a third-party auditor, the association said in a statement. The previous auditor is no longer approved, and the Perth Mint will be required to use a new approved service provider to carry out the audit. I mean, here's an interesting thing. In many ways, I think Australia has, well, a good global brand, a good global reputation as being dependable and reliable. And I think that carries over into things like the Perth Mint. We saw it with some crypto scams where what they'd done is they'd suckered in some poor idiot down in Launceston to register a company. This is months after, and I discovered all this months after the business came into existence, months after all the websites, and it was even, implemented on Apple. They'd set up this ASIC listed company here in Australia, which is now going, disappearing, being deregistered after the whole scam has fallen apart. But they kept drawing upon, making references to Australia and Australian registered business to provide people with confidence. Because you don't really think of massive corruptions when you come to Australia, or when you think of Australia, do you? It's why, the troubles we have compared to others still make us look good. It's all about, the best of a bad bunch. So the corrective action plan will address the weaknesses in the application of the Perth Mint's management systems. For example, the Papua New Guinea-based counterparty was identified as medium risk rather than high risk. So is this that Perth identified it as a medium risk as opposed to a high risk, and it actually is a high risk? Is that what they're saying? Or was it identified as a medium risk now when Perth identified it as a high risk? So that's I'm not quite sure which way to take it. And is that even a big issue? Can that be managed? A worthwhile exercise. Perth Mint CEO Richard Heise said the auditors had been replaced and the Mint no longer sourced gold from artisanal small-scale mining operations in Papua New Guinea. The review has been a worthwhile exercise, Mr. Heise said in a statement. Now here's the thing. What about those people who are the artisanal small-scale miners? What if that's how they're making their livelihood? There's concerns about some of the methods that they use, but what if that's the only way to improve your quality of life, everyone? Think about all the gold rushes that happened in Australia. Think about all the gold rushes that happened around the world. How were people doing it? What about Ballarat? Town wouldn't exist without it. We remain committed to upholding the highest ethical standards. The announcement comes days after the gold price broke the $2,000 per ounce barrier for the first time. The Perth Mint ranks as Australia's oldest gold refiner. It was established in 1899 as a branch of the Royal Mint in London to refine gold from Western Australia's newly discovered gold fields in Kalgoorlie. According to its annual report, the Perth Mint refined 27.4 million ounces of gold and silver d'or in the 1819 financial year, with coins, medallions and bars valued at $1.02 billion sold. In March, the Perth Mint announced that for the first time, the value of its gold, silver and platinum holdings stored on behalf of clients from around the world had topped $5 billion. The assets under management equate to almost 50 tons of fine gold and 1,020 tons of fine silver. So there we have it, everyone. There we have it. A 2-month investigation into Perth Mint found no instances of zero tolerance non-conformance. The LBMA identified areas where their risk management process needs to be strengthened. The Gold Corporation Chairman Sam Walsh initiated a third-party review of the Perth Mint's audit processes on June 16th. So there you have it. What do you think? Who do you trust more, everyone? The Perth Mint or the big banks? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Are you surprised by the outcome of this? Do you feel for the small miners in Papua New Guinea? And how much of an impact this might have on some of them? As always, thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create here, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or Kucoin. You can buy merch from HeiseSays, use gold paths from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care. See you next time. Bye for now.